Hello everybody, and welcome to the sandbox. Here, right behind me, is a nice big Tinkers Smeltery. But a special one. Because this one's not actually used to make your tools and stuff like that. This one is used to make emeralds. Fully automatic. And decently server friendly. Now, this video is in response to Azuma Void's video, in which he tried to make an emerald farm using a spawner and Tinker's construct. Now, he's been having issues with this since the Azuminati mod pack, in which I also played, and I wasn't able to figure out a solution for it then, but I have now. As you can see behind me, the villagers are dying. And look at the liquid level. Up, down. Up, down. Up, down. Waha! It is making emeralds. Totally free. Totally automatic, no interaction required. And all it needs is a single iron ingot in there. And look, we can watch the levels. We can even go in here. What magic is this? What craziness is this, right? Because anyone who uses Tinkers knows that as you add a new material, it goes to the top. And Tinkers can only drain what's on the bottom. Well, how am I getting the emeralds to the bottom? Oh! Witchcraft. Absolute witchcraft. Look at that. It's made a new emerald. I have it casting gems. You can make it cast blocks, but I just figured gems. Well, I'm going to show you. So what you'll need in order to make this, right here in this chest, we start off with, you need to set a villager spawner. Now, on a server or on your single player world, wherever you're building this, obviously you're going to need to find a villager. You can't actually use a spawn egg, but same thing. The spawner changer from actual additions and a monster spawner, however you got them. Usually in vanilla, you'll have to have picked them up with something like the chest transporter, or a moving wand, or something of that sort. For me, of course, again, creative mode, I just summoned it in. You can also use a powered spawner. It doesn't matter, but I prefer this way because then it doesn't require electricity either. It's just fully off-the-grid, automatic emerald farm. You will want slime conveyors because they are an no animation static conveyor belt that works really well and can be placed on top of blocks as opposed to being a block themselves. These come from Cyclic again, pretty simple to craft. I actually showed those in my last modded video myself. You will also then need a bucket of emerald, a bucket of iron, both molten, of course. You will need all the blocks required to build a smeltery. In this case, like I said, I went with a casting table and a gem cast. You can just as easily go with a casting basin. That's not an issue. It is completely 100% your choice what you want to do. As I said, I just wanted it to make it gems because I'm already going to be putting it into a compacting drawer, and I figured, well, what if I need one emerald gem right now from my farm? I may as well be able to grab it as opposed to having to wait for it to create 8 more gems and ta-da. So that's personal choice. That is completely up to you. The shape and size of your smeltery, also completely up to you. I went with a 5x5 simply because a mob spawner does that kind of range. You can easily go smaller, you can go bigger, you can feed your villagers in from off-site, whatever you want to do, so long as your villagers end up in the smeltery. I've got the tank hidden over on the side here so that you don't really see it when you're here. You can just see the controller and make sure everything's copacetic. Next, you will also need a compacting drawer, fluid conduits, fluid tanks, and actually also, one of the things I did forget, you will need item conduits, obviously for the moving around of the items. You will then also need an entity detector and an entity filter. These are both from random things. They're pretty simple to craft. I mean, paper and lapis for the filter, pressure plates, torches, ender pearls, and stone for the detector. Now, with the entity filter, you'll want to set this to a villager. Now, you do that in the same way that you use the spawner changer. You walk up to one, shift right-click on them. It will set it to villager. Now, why do I have that? Well, that's part of the server friendliness. Under the farm here, I've got the entity detector. Now, this guy can detect, in a variable range, entities. You can set it to all entities, to players, to you name it. Yeah, all entities, living entities, animals, monsters, players, items, or custom. Now, I have it set to custom, and then a villager. And basically, yeah, it only outputs a redstone signal when it detects villagers. So if this was on... I'm not sure, actually. Okay, that turns it on when there's nothing. That turns it on when there's villagers. So yeah, you want to keep it there. Custom villager. And you just need a couple of pieces of redstone, which, sorry, I forgot again to mention that. And you want to bring them over to right here. Now, again, you don't have to hide this part, but I like it all hidden. So these are 2 smeltery drains. And I have one here that is extracting with signal. So it only extracts when this redstone line is active, and that is only active when it detects villagers. Which means if your spawner's going a little slow, if you're using a powered spawner and you run out of power, the redstone's not going to turn on, and you're not going to get any kind of craziness. Now, I can show you what happens if this is not set to active with signal. If you turn it to always active, and we go and look at this, oh, it's actually not doing anything? Why is it not doing anything? It was freaking out on me earlier. Maybe it's gotten a little better, but I still suggest keeping active with signal. Now, I've got 2 fluid tanks here from Ender.io. You can use any type of fluid storage you prefer. I just figure let's stick within the mod Ender.io. You want to use the Ender fluid conduit because it allows for fluid filtering. And you want to sort this one to emerald and this one to iron, or whatever type of filler you are using. If you're using gold, if you're using copper, set this filter to that. Now what this does is it will extract everything. This has no filter. Emerald and your filler, it will pull out. Whoops. Creative mode. I always forget about that. Filler goes in here and immediately gets extracted and put right back into the smelter. This prevents you needing to smelt it as an item. But at the same time, because this kind of clock, essentially, this iron out to a buffer, iron back in, is only active when there are villagers and thus emeralds or liquefied emeralds being found, it's essentially putting the iron on top of the emeralds. And then the emeralds get extracted, put into this tank, and here's where the casting basin is. Or if you want to... this is the casting table. If you want to, you can use the casting basin, and it will make blocks instead of gems. But as you can see, as the villagers die, it fills up. And then once it hits the 666 millibuckets, evil emeralds, it will form the emerald and move the item along the conduit right here into the compacting drawer. And that's it. Like, that's the solution. Is I created a clock of liquid. This doesn't require you to make it back into an ingot and then smelt it again, which costs lava. This has no lava cost. I put a single bucket of lava in there, and it took the initial 100 millibuckets to smelt the initial iron ingot, and that's it. After that, it never has to smelt anything ever again. So it will not cost you lava. And it's making emeralds. We're up to 31 emeralds now. Now, it's not the quickest, but that is dependent on your spawner. If you have access to the Torchino, or Torturino, you can significantly increase the speed of this farm. You know, you get more villagers going. So we're going to see more emeralds flowing through and more... And see, this is why I have a tank as a buffer. Is so that it keeps working even while we're waiting for this to cast. Especially if you're doing it in the casting basin. Because blocks take a long time to solidify. So you want a buffer. Now, you can use something bigger than a tank. Extra Utilities has the barrels. They're nice and big, cheap. Use those. It's great. This one doesn't matter because it's always empty because it's just a clock. Anytime there's villagers, it's a clock. And as you can see, it's moving quickly enough that you can't even see it. But yet, it works. The emeralds are constantly on the bottom. So, hopefully that was explanation enough so that you can build this in your own world and make an automated emerald farm using Tinker's Construct. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave me a like, give me a comment, and let me know what you thought. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so that I can catch you and you can catch me in the next episode. Bye-bye!